I don't know if you believe in Santa Claus, Pikachu, but I know Santa Claus believes in you. Hi there. Welcome back once again. It is time for the Golden Age of DC Comics 365 Days, where I take this beloved hardcover coffee table book given to me about 2 decades ago by one of my best friends. This has been surfing my coffee table ever since and has been a constant source of comic book shop style conversations, the kind I wish to recreate today here with you right now. Thank you so very much for tuning in today. We're using this 365 Days book for its intended purpose. We're going to open up to today's date, which is December the 24th, Christmas Eve. We're going to look at some comic book art of an antediluvian age. We're going to read the blurb, and then we're going to talk about comic books. And we're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. We've been talking about comic books all year long, and let's just keep going. Yeah, why not? I hope you're doing awesome, and I hope that you're clobbering your problems and not being clobbered by them. This is art by Everett Hibbert, Harry Peter, and Martin Nodell. So it's a jam. It's from the cover of Comic Calcade number 9, Winter of 1944. And it's a Christmas scene where we have maybe the Golden Age Trinity. Because we think of the modern age trinity of DC superheroes as Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman. I've seen a few covers that showcase Wonder Woman, Flash, and the Green Lantern in the Golden Age, often grouped together. And maybe they were the Golden Age Trinity. Food for thought, huh? Well, that's look at that. That's a Harry J. Peter Wonder Woman, all right. That's probably a Martin Nodell Green Lantern. Let's read the blurb. Then let's look at the art again. Talk about comic books. So this is from the cover of Comic Cavalcade number 9, Winter of 1944. So it's a zoom. This is zoomed in on an aspect of the cover art. Christmas Eve. Comic book covers today tend to advertise the stories inside, and seasonal themes are pretty much a thing of the past. There might even be questions about the advisability of tacitly endorsing the holiday of any one religion in our sensitive modern environment. Sorry if you couldn't hear that over my eyes rolling. Yet for some readers, this cover has a quaint charm that is more than mere nostalgia and manages to evoke a spirit of charity and generosity that transcends denomination. Let's use all the academic jargon we can to try to shame you into not wanting to like Christmas. I know, but look what's under that Christmas tree. He's got a baseball bat. He's got a baseball glove. Maybe that's a wrapped ham with a bow around it. There's a couple of boxes. We've got candy canes. We got a Christmas tree. We've got Jay Garrick and Alan Scott bearing presents. We got Wonder Woman putting, they're playing Santa. And there's little kid fast asleep on Christmas Eve. Yeah. That's about it. Yeah, I mean, it's a nice Christmas Eve picture. Yeah. What is Comics Cavalcade, though? I'm going to read this, you guessed it, from the wiki. Comics Cavalcade was an anthology comic book published by DC Comics from 1942 to 1954. Most American comic book publishers in the 30s and 40s, the golden age of comic books, published anthology titles that showcased a variety of characters, usually with one star, such as Green Lantern in All American Comics, or Wonder Woman in Sensation Comics. Comics Cavalcade, however, featured both of those star characters as well as the Flash, a star in his own namesake title, as well as the spin-off of All Flash. This is true. At 96 pages, initially Comic Cavalcade was about 1.5 times the length of the average comic book of the time. It was priced at 15 cents when the average comic cost a dime. And that would be 10 cents. I don't know what a dime is. Would you know what a dime is over in France? Royale with cheese. Le Big Mac. Many stories in Comic Cavalcade were scripted by other than the characters' regular writers for deadline reasons. Batman writer Bill Finger, for example, would occasionally write Flash stories for Comic Cavalcade when regular Flash writer Gardner Fox was preoccupied with other projects. Initially published quarterly, the title went bi-monthly, beginning with number 14, April-May of 1946. It was revamped completely at issue number 30, December-January of 1948, becoming a talking animal humor book when superheroes faded from popularity in the post-war era. Featured were animator Frank Tashlin's movie cartoon duo, The Fox and the Crow. We come across them a bunch of times, along with cartoonist Woody Gelman's creations, The Dodo and the Frog and Nutsy Squirrel. The title would later be referenced with DC's 1970s canceled Comic Cavalcade series. Yeah, that was the canceled Comic Cavalcade. That had something else to do. It was like 1978 DC Comics. They tried to do some kind of big rebrand, or it was like, I remember Firestorm, because Firestorm is the best thing that come out of any of this. Was in a Firestorm funny book too. I read a lot of Firestorm growing up. I loved Firestorm. Like Jerry Conway invented Firestorm. I felt he was like one of the last Silver Age designed kind of characters, but he's most definitely Bronze Age, because the Bronze Age runs between 1970 and 1985. So, but Firestorm had this mixing of like a mentor and a student fusing into one body. So you had a physics professor having to teach the host body, the young athlete who doesn't know his physics and has command over atomic powers and the elements. And it was about learning science in a way. There was an angle in there to respect how to learn science. Yeah, I mean, so Firestorm is a really good character, but from the wiki, yeah, canceled Comics Cavalcade. About 30 titles were affected. It was like there was 1978 cancellations unrelated to the implosion. This is it's called the DC Explosion, but it was also the DC Implosion. Were two events in 1978. This is the first an official marketing campaign, and the second was a sardonic reference to it, in which DC Comics expanded their roster of publications, then abruptly cut it back. And in 1977, National Publications officially took the name DC Comics as its brand name, and they had the classic bullet logo. So it was like one of this. Then you also, corporate syzygy wise, over on in the movies, you had the Christopher Reeve movie as well premiering around that time too, and the DC Explosion was part of an ongoing initiative at DC to regain market share by increasing the number of titles they published, while also increasing page counts and cover prices. The so-called DC Implosion was the result of the publisher experiencing losses that year due to a confluence of factors and canceling a large number of ongoing and planned series in response. The cancellations included long-running series such as Our Fighting Forces, Showcase, and House of Secrets. New series introduced as part of the expansion, such as Firestorm and Steel, the Indestructible Man. And the announced series such as The Vixen, which would have been the company's first title starring an African-American woman. former flagship series Detective Comics was also considered for cancellation. Some of the materials already produced for these canceled series was used in other publications. Several of the completed stories were published in small quantities as 2 issues of Canceled Comics Calcade, whose title was a reference to today's subject, DC's comic Golden Age, the Comic Calcade series. Wow. The DC explosion was a 1978 marketing campaign in which DC touted its increasing number of titles in the previous few years and increased story pages in all of its titles, accompanied by higher cover prices. The explosion campaign itself lasted 3 months from its debut in comics cover dated June of 1978 until the revamp in comics cover dated September of 1978. The actual implosion at the company then followed with cancellations and a reduction in the number of titles. Because Marvel had seen its dominance overtaken by, because DC had seen its dominance of the market overtaken by Marvel Comics. And partly because Marvel had significantly increased the numbers of titles that it published, both original materials and reprint books. In large part, the DC explosion was a plan to overtake Marvel by using its own strategy. So we've been saying this ever since in like comic fandom today, that the big two are always kind of ripping off each other. Like currently right now, DC has been behind Marvel again. So DC is trying to clone Marvel's recipe. I didn't want to say success because, in my humble opinion, are they good stories? Is it a good direction? But they do have the corporate syzygy of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, Marvel Comics, I would love to know circulation numbers. Seriously, I would love to know. In most part, these are like kept very tight secrets by the companies themselves. They don't have to share this knowledge. They used to freely, and but in the past few years, there's just a bit more. It's harder to see what actually our sales are. There's a way to get it. I watch a lot of videos on YouTube that bring up circulation numbers and how much an old title would actually get over time. Like I watch a lot of comics by Perch. He does these great videos when it comes to all this, and he's educated me on this subject matter so much so that I can go to. I know places to go, like the Comic-Con median cover price, stuff like that. But let's keep on this right here. Let's see. However, DC experienced ongoing poor sales from the winter of 1977 to the winter of 1978. This has been attributed to the part of the North American blizzards in 77 and 78, which both disrupted distribution and curtailed consumer purchases. I remember the blizzard of 78. I was knee-high to a grasshopper. Like the snowbanks were like taller than me. 2 years later, I'd see Hoth and be reminded of that blizzard. And, losing action figures in the snow. Furthermore, the effects of ongoing economic inflation, recession, and increased paper and printing costs led to declines in both the profitability of the entire comic book industry and the numbers of readers. In response, the company executives ordered that titles with marginal sales and several new series that were still in development be canceled. The canceled titles was All-Star Comics number 74, Army at War, Batman Family, that merged into, I loved Batman Family, that merged into Detective Comics. There was Battle Classics, Black Lightning at issue number 11 got the axe. Claw the Unconquered, Doorway to Nightmare, Firestorm at issue number 5. Issue got number 6 got reworked into Flash as a backup feature between 294 and 296. And then, but later on, Firestorm will get his title back. He will. House of Secrets, Kamandi the Last Boy, Our Fighting Forces, Showcase, and let's see. Then it says 1978 cancellations unrelated to the implosion. They say Aquaman lost his title, Challengers of the Unknown, Freedom Fighters, Karate Kid of the 30th century, Legion of Superheroes, Mr. Miracle, Secret Society of Supervillains. That was a really interesting comic book. Shay the Changing Man at issue 8. Shazam, but that got merged into World's Finest Comics, and Teen Titans number 53. That would come back pretty quickly as the new Teen Titans with Marv Wolfman and George Perez. So yeah, there was just lots. That was how the comic book industry took care of its business back then. I mean, with flagging sales and low circulation, and they cut lots of titles. I wonder what the future holds for the comic book industry today, going forward too. There are news reports of this comic book company is folding, and this one is probably going to be right behind it, and another one. And this is all following pandemic and lockdowns and pencils down, and Diamond having its monopoly broken. Diamond, the distributor, is now not the sole distributor of comic books, and it's going in newer and interesting places. But what I was saying about circulation, see, I was gonna start off the show. Pika makes show notes. We use show notes. Pika works very hard on these show notes, and I tried looking up magazine circulations, because remember, comic books are just part of the publication industry. Magazine periodicals, that's what they are. These floppies that they all add up, well, they are part of a magazine culture, a magazine industry. I mean, here's just a bag of comic book. Here is a bag of periodicals that I bought just this week at a specialty store at the direct market. But also, I mean, I was in the supermarket yesterday, and I took a quick video too, which I'll post as a short. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just add a little bit to it, so it doesn't have to be a short. And I was taking a video of the newsstands at the point of sales origin, at the registers, the cash registers. Anyone knows that I've grown up seeing Archie Digest comics at the small news rack when you're waiting in line at the register. And that's where you have publications, weekly publications and monthly publications. People Magazine, Cosmopolitan, Us Magazine, Sports Illustrated, Time Magazine. These are magazines. These are publications. Same thing. They're printed. They have a cover price. They have a shelf life. There's a distribution network. There's also a recycling network. I mean, comic books are still monthly publications. See, there's a $3.99. Yeah, the $3.99 once a month. And but how hard it is to try to find. I would, looking at other magazines, be a fair, or is it an unfair comparison? Especially with the whole differentiation in marketplace. We discussed on an earlier show about newsstands and about being able to return and have credits that you would rip off a part of the cover, and as evidence of destroying the publication, and then being credited back. at the newsstand. But on the direct market of comic books with the distributors, that there is no returnability anymore. Not with this. So do, magazine distributors still are they even able to distribute monthly floppies? Because I looked at all of these magazine racks that are at the registers of all of the, in my local supermarket just yesterday. I mean, I was looking for. They still had the digest version of the Farmer's Almanac for 2023, fresh for next year. Still has the hole in the corner. You know what I mean? Brilliant. It had a digest version of a Michael Jordan tribute, book, a history book on Michael Jordan with photos and stuff. But these were digest size. Then you had magazines, and there was just maybe 12 to 15 options at each. You know what I mean? Then you had two. You had one on this side, one on that side. So now we're up to 24 different publications just there with your cart, maybe even your kids. Your kids are on eye level with this stuff. And that's what used to sell comic books as well. I mean, I remember the only time I used to really read Archie comics was when I got digests. When I was, hey, Ma, can I get this? Yeah, all right, kid, here you go. And just, that's the only time I really read Archie comics, was definitely just the digest ones. And you got that at a specific place, at the register, at the supermarket. Yeah, so I was looking specifically for, it looked like my, oh, thank you. My Siri. I was specifically looking for the magazine rack that also had, which also has softcover books. It looks like they did away with that aisle, and I couldn't find where they sold the softcover books along with the magazines. The only place I saw these periodicals, the magazines, were at the registers. And so yeah, I'll have a little accompanying video that will go along with this. I'll publish that a little later. But yeah, I mean, with those, but what are healthy circulation numbers for an average monthly periodical, such as Cosmopolitan, National Geographic? And I'm thinking just domestic U.S. circulation, because I fell down these rabbit holes. I wanted to see Cosmopolitan, a women's magazine, historically. It's a monthly. It contains, I grew up with Cosmopolitan. I had a single mom. It was always in the bathroom. There was bra ads and fiction and ads and, samples for fragrances and shit like that. But still, this is one of these healthy publications that have readership, that have circulation. But then you start getting into other markets like, the UK, Australia, and continental, Europe and other places. And it's like, oh gosh, I just want some simple numbers. I just basically wanted some domestic U.S. numbers. I wanted to see circulation, not just what was printed, but what was what's the readership like? So it's really hard to find these numbers. Or is it? Do you know something easier? Do you have an answer for this question? Put it in the comment section. You know what? We've been talking about comic books, and we're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. God bless you. Merry Christmas. It's Christmas Eve. We'll see you again tomorrow on Christmas Day. But God bless. Namaste. Good luck. Like and subscribe. Give me a Christmas present. Be a part of my subscribers. Subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to grow my little channel, and it's gonna happen. And you're included. There's plenty of place. There's plenty of space at this coffee table with this coffee table book. This beloved coffee table book. We're wrapping up this series, but we got plenty more for next year. Thank you so very much. We will see you again tomorrow, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern, and in those funny pages. Ciao. Bye-bye.